welcome to my channel We Read. I'm Rhiannon, and today, I know this is a bit late, but at the end of last month I took part in the Diverseathon and I really enjoyed reading it. I read one book, which was the aim. I had a pile of books and my aim was to just try and get through one of them. It was a really good week. I learned a lot from my book. I learned new stuff and new cultures and what life is like in another country with my book. And this is just my wrap up and my thoughts about the book and my review. The book I read during the week I thought was brilliant and I loved it and it made me cry, and it was just very thought-provoking book. It was very inspiring and I definitely did learn a lot. And I read I Am Malala by Malala Yousafzai, by Malala Yousafzai, because I hope I didn't butcher her name. I found this very interesting book. I found it very thought-provoking. She lived in Pakistan, in Taliban-occupied Palestine. She also had to be strong when she lived. She went to school in her dad's school. She made, friends and everything else. She tried to live in a part of Pakistan that was dreadful and horrible when the Taliban took over. They didn't want girls to go to school at all, and they would kill people who tried to stand up for people's rights and things like that. And she was amazing. I felt that it was more of her and her dad's story in a way, because you can tell in this book that she really, really, really loves her dad, and it does come across that her dad is such an inspiration to her. Her dad put his life on the line, trying to make education for all boys and girls, and she went around with him and she would talk about it, and she won their country's Nobel Peace Prize. Basically, she is the youngest person to be nominated for a Nobel Peace Prize as well, and it was very well deserved, I think, as well. And then she got shot in the head. She got shot in the head by the Taliban, and I think, because this story documents her life in Pakistan as well as the aftermath of being shot in the head as well. And the aftermath of being shot in the head, she was quite lucky because there were doctors from Birmingham that were over there anyway, and she was very lucky to receive the treatment she did receive. So, and I like to, and as a person who's in the UK, I'm very proud of our government for letting them live in Birmingham, and for taking her in for treatment as well, because that was amazing for our country to do that. Reading this book about Malala during this time for most people where it's very up in the air and it's and very nerve-wracking time to live in this world, it was great to read about such a positive young lady, and Pakistan, she is full of love for her country, and when she comes from in the Swat Valley, she really wants to go back there one day and things like that. She also had to live they had to evacuate her valley when the Taliban was in control, and for a period of time she had to go live with with relatives, and most people were sent out into a camp like refugees or people who were displaced. She did that at a time as well, and then they got to go back to their family. I like the fact that her family have supported her as well. She had great support, although her mum was a bit wary about it. But she had great support from her family, and it's a very, very passionate book, and I did cry. I cried in parts when, especially when she got shot in the head, I cried, and I thought she wasn't going to make it at one point, but obviously she has made it. She's lucky to be alive, and she's an advocate for education. This book made me realise how lucky living in the United Kingdom that I was to get an education, And I don't know many of you, but when you were like grouchy teenagers, like at 14, 15 and start secondary school, that how many of us like are guilty of telling our parents, I don't want to go to school today because I don't like it, it's boring, and we all made a fuss. But then looking back as a 27-year-old, actually, even though we kicked up a fuss and we tried to bunk off school and everything, but it didn't work, and we faked our illnesses just to like watch educational programs on TV for like all day and watch DVDs, and then complain to our parents, or quite rude to our parents probably on some occasions about school. Then looking back as a 27-year-old, actually, wait a minute, I was quite lucky to receive an education. If I didn't go to school, I would never be able to read books and learn how to read or write. So people living in the UK, especially people who can get an education, I would like to say this: if you are a young teenager at the moment doing your GCSEs or A levels in the UK or whatever equivalent to that around the world, and you're not putting in that effort, I say right now go and put in the effort for school, because otherwise if you don't, you'll regret it down the track, because having an education opens up your whole world for different employment opportunities, different things, and you also have a great experience. You make friends at school. I made friends. Most of my school friends are still my friends, which is remarkable because it's great. I made school friends. I loved English. I loved child development. I loved health and social care, and my education has shaped who I am as a person, and we are quite lucky. I have dyspraxia. My teachers were saying, oh, she's never going to get there. I overachieved at school, so school was great. And this book is so very passionate. She's passionate about education. She's an advocate as well. And yes, I did quiet parts. The photos in this book, there are photos dotted about. In this book, the photos are absolutely amazing. Some of them are not very nice photos either. Some of them are really lovely. Like this one, I quite like those two photos. And there's a lovely photo of her and her family in this book as well, outside of their house in Birmingham. The photos are a great thing, just to break it up a bit as well, because it is quite... I read it in small chunks and then read something else, because it is quite a hard subject to broach, and some of it did make me feel like I needed to have a bit of a break because of my emotions were getting too much for me. Her relationship with father is very strong, and she is very inspired by him, and I think this is a must-read book for anyone, whatever age, whether you're 16 or 68 or 100, go read this book, and you will definitely not be disappointed. I gave this book a 5 out of 5 on Goodreads, and I enjoyed it, and I enjoyed my Diverseathon week, and I definitely want to continue with reading diversely, and I'm looking forward to reading other books during when Diverseathon is not on. So I am trying to read once a month a diverse book. I think I went out and got some more diverse books from the library as well last week, so I will show you my library haul in the few days to come, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye bye.